You're walking alone on a deserted road, the only sound being the creaking of trees and the distant hum of a car driving by. Suddenly, you hear footsteps behind you. You quicken your pace, but the footsteps get closer. You start to run, but it's too late. You've been grabbed from behind, and everything goes black. It's a stormy night in 1973, and you're walking home from a friend's house. The roads are empty, and the only light comes from the occasional street lamp. You've been walking for about 20 minutes, and you're starting to feel a sense of unease. The wind is howling, and the rain is pouring down, making it difficult to see or hear anything. As you turn a corner, you notice a car parked on the side of the road, its engine still running. The driver's side door is open, and you can't help but feel like something is off. You start to walk faster, but the car doesn't move. You're getting closer to home, but you can't shake the feeling that you're being watched. Suddenly, you hear a noise behind you. You turn around, but there's no one there. You quicken your pace, but the noise gets louder. It sounds like footsteps, heavy and deliberate. Your heart is racing, and you're getting scared. You start to run, but your feet feel heavy, as if they're stuck to the ground. The footsteps get closer, and you can feel a hand reaching out to grab you. But just as suddenly as it started, everything goes black. You've been missing for 53 years, and your family has all but given up hope. They've searched every inch of the town, talked to everyone who might have seen you, and scoured the local news for any mention of your disappearance. But on a hot summer day in 2026, a group of construction workers stumbled upon something that would change everything. They were digging a new foundation for a building in a remote area of Texas when they hit something hard. As they dug deeper, they realized it was a skeleton, buried beneath the earth. The police were called, and soon, the site was swarming with investigators. They collected evidence, took DNA samples, and began to piece together the story of the person who had been buried there. It wouldn't be long before they discovered that the skeleton belonged to you, the 27-year-old woman who had gone missing all those years ago. But as the news spread, a new question emerged. How did you end up in Texas, over 1,000 miles from where you were last seen? As the investigation into your disappearance began, detectives started by interviewing your family and friends. They wanted to know everything about your life, from your daily routine to your relationships and any potential enemies. They scoured your phone records, email, and social media, looking for any clues that might lead them to you. But as they dug deeper, they realized that the trail was cold. It had been 53 years since you went missing, and many of the people who had known you were now dead or had moved away. The detectives were left with more questions than answers. How did you end up in Texas? Was it a random act of violence, or was there something more sinister at play? They decided to re-examine the evidence from the original investigation, looking for any inconsistencies or leads that might have been missed. It was a daunting task, but they were determined to solve the case and bring closure to your family. As they pored over the old files, they stumbled upon a cryptic note that had been written by one of the original investigators. It read, "Look again at the boyfriend." As the detectives decided to re-examine your boyfriend, they discovered a shocking twist. It turned out that he had been living a double life, with a secret family in another state. He had been using a fake identity and had been able to keep his two lives separate for years. But as the detectives dug deeper, they found a series of letters and emails that he had written to you, detailing his plans to leave his other family and start a new life with you. It seemed that he had been planning to run away with you, but something had gone terribly wrong. The detectives were stunned. Had he been involved in your disappearance, or was he telling the truth? They decided to bring him in for questioning, but as they arrived at his house, they found something that made their blood run cold. A hidden room in his basement, filled with photos and mementos of you. It was as if he had been obsessed with you, and the detectives realized that they might be dealing with a much more sinister crime than they had initially thought. As the news of the hidden room spread, the community was shocked and outraged. How could someone who seemed so normal and innocent be capable of such a heinous crime? The boyfriend was arrested and charged with your murder, and as he sat in his cell, he couldn't help but think about the events that had led him to this point. He had been obsessed with you, and his desire for you had consumed him. He had planned to run away with you, to start a new life and leave his old one behind. But something had gone wrong, and he had snapped. He had killed you, and then he had buried you in the remote area of Texas. The detectives had finally solved the case, but as they looked back on the events, they couldn't help but wonder what had driven the boyfriend to commit such a terrible crime. Was it a twisted desire for love, or was it something more sinister? As the trial approached, the community was eager to see justice served, but they knew that nothing could bring you back. You were gone, and all that was left was the haunting question, what if? Today, we know that the boyfriend was found guilty of your murder and was sentenced to life in prison. The community was finally able to find closure, and your family was able to lay you to rest. But as we look back on the events, we're left with a haunting question, what if? What if the boyfriend had been caught sooner? What if the detectives had looked closer at the evidence? What if you had never gone missing? The what-ifs will always haunt us, but as we remember your story, we're reminded of the importance of never giving up. Your family never gave up, and neither did the detectives. They kept searching, kept investigating, and finally, they found the truth. As we close this chapter, we're left with a sense of sadness and loss, but also with a sense of hope. Hope that justice will always be served, and hope that your story will never be forgotten. You may be gone, but your memory will live on, and your story will continue to haunt us, a reminder of the darkness that lurks in the shadows, waiting to strike. As we close this case, we're left with a haunting question, what really happened to you that fateful night? Join us next time as we explore another true crime story, and don't forget to like and comment below with your theory. Subscribe to our channel for more true crime content, and let's keep the conversation going. What do you think happened to her? Share your thoughts, and let's get to the bottom of this mystery together.